Hello, welcome to Inside Black Iowa. My name is Dana James, and I'm the founder and publisher of Black Iowa News. And this podcast is featuring the people, places, and things that are important to Black Iowans. Today, I want to introduce you to LaNisha Cassell, and she is the executive director of the African American Museum of Iowa. And she's going to tell us more about the upcoming events and cool things happening there. So, welcome, LaNisha. How are you today?
Doing great, Dana. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share about the museum and just congratulations to you on all the things that you've been doing with the podcast and the newspaper. We're so excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, tell us what's happening. I hear you have some big news over there.
We do have big news. We had our ribbon cutting for the museum, new renovated building just this month, Tuesday, February 27th. So that was exciting. We had a huge turnout, and it was great. And it basically signified that the building renovation is substantially complete. And now we're strategizing on moving back into the building, our staff and all of our equipment and supplies, and especially our collection, and getting it ready for launching 2 new exhibits this year. So very excited about that, and we hope to be actually open and operating and open to the public in the spring. So exciting time.
Awesome. Give our listeners a little bit of background about how the museum came to be for
Oh,
those who
sure.
don't know.
Yeah, so well, this was another. We had a great milestone in 2023. We celebrated 30 years. Members of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church here in Cedar Rapids realized that there was a lot of Black history in Iowa and thought there was enough to be able to open up a museum. And so in 1993, those members, began to pull resources and research and collecting things. And so we were able to launch the museum in 93. And we had several kind of temporary homes, if you will, particularly Westdale Mall here in Cedar Rapids, until we were able to have our building capital campaign and project back in 2003. So we actually had our building for 20 years. And
Wow.
so that's how we came about. We wanted to make sure that Black history was preserved and shared and exhibited. And so that's how the museum came about. And so excited to be in our 31st year this year. And so when we reopen in the spring, our new exhibit will be called 30 Years of the AAMI. And so that is basically an exploration of our past 30 years and all the exhibits that we've done over that time. So for people who maybe haven't visited the museum or haven't been for a long time, they might get a chance to see some of the exhibits that they missed out on in the past. So that'll be great. I'm excited about that. And then in October, we'll be back on our regular schedule of temporary exhibit rotation. And we're going to be doing a little edgier with racist sayings, hateful imagery in the American household. So that's our next big exhibit opening up in October. And that'll, think about things like Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, caricatures of canister sets and salt and pepper shakers and all those type of things. So we'll be able to kind of talk about some of the history of that.
Wow, that's so exciting. Where's the museum located? What's the address for people who don't know?
So we're at 55 12th Avenue Southeast, Cedar Rapids. We're in the Czech Nouveau district physically. So the Czech Museum is right down the road from us, and we're right up the road from Nouveau City Market. And it's a really great central location to the other arts and culture institutions. A lot of people come and visit us, but they have also visited the other 4 museums that are here in Cedar Rapids. But we're trying to make people understand that we are a statewide institution and not just a Cedar Rapids museum. So we have traveling resources, and particularly while we were closed, we were very intentional about making sure that those resources were strategically placed in central Iowa, eastern Iowa, western Iowa. We went to Sioux City, we were in Des Moines, we're going to be in Muscatine this year, Iowa City, North Liberty, Coralville. We'll be in a lot of new places and a lot of places we've been already, but we just want to make sure people know that we're not limited to coming to the building. We can come to you, but we also want people to come in and see what we have happening inside the building too.
Awesome. Do you know a little bit about, in terms of when you were open, like the number of visitors you would get on any given year?
Okay. So I think we kind of include a lot of categories in our numbers because of the traveling resources that we have. We think we typically impact about 30,000 plus people every year through our on-site visitation and our traveling resources and our presentations that go out on the road as well. We do a lot of virtual programming and we actually go to other places. So about 30,000 annually.
Oh, awesome. And tell us a little bit about um, some of those exhibits that you traveled and
Hmm.
what that experience was like in like a particular town.
Yeah. So I think we did a lot of it here. We installed the exhibit here in Cedar. One of our exhibits, suspended systemic oppression in our schools, was about the school to prison pipeline, and that was a larger than our normal traveling exhibit. It was an expo size one because we really wanted to make this one be our signature exhibit while we were closed. And so we installed it at the public library here in Cedar Rapids, and then we had six traveling copies of it going all around the state. And I think probably one of the ones that stands out to me is the when we had it at the Des Moines Public Library. It went to two of their sites, Central and Franklin Avenues
Okay.
branches, and they were rock stars. They had programming around it. They invited the school districts and the students and local city officials and elected officials, and then we had conversations. We want to engage people, so we try to make sure that there's an opportunity for people to not just see what's on the panels and read the text and look at the pictures, but to actually engage in conversations and questions. And that's what we want to do with all of our exhibits. And we have about 13 or 14 different topics, including a new one. We had redlining exhibit that was up right before we closed called Mapping Exclusion, Redlining in Iowa. We just got funding at the end of last year to create traveling versions. And so we have two copies of that, and that was out in Bettendorf for the month of February and in, I think, Keokuk for the month of February. And so our goal is to not lose content, but to be able to keep the content that we have inside of our museum and then to be able to create it in a traveling way so people can engage with it after we've had it in the museum.
Awesome. And yeah, and by the way, happy Black History Month. We didn't even bring
Yes,
that up. Here we are
yes.
talking to the museum. That's awesome. And there is so much Black history in Iowa that sadly people don't know.
Mhm.
And like any across the board, Black people in Iowa were doing it big. And it's
Absolutely.
amazing some of their stories, and not just in terms of overcoming adversity or
Mhm.
operating in a time when things were very visibly against them, but
Mhm.
just amazing. Like I just recently learned about Lulu Merle Johnson, for
Mhm.
whom Johnson County is named. And to me, that's a story that we should all know that story. Like, why don't we know this? So I love, love history and love the work that you're doing to to amplify what
Absolutely. I think
what
there's
what
so many stories. There's so
right.
many stories to be told, and I think there is this kind of idea that we know all of the stories, and we don't either. We're finding out new information and new stories, new achievements. And you're right. It's not just about the struggle. It's about the accomplishments and achievements. I mean, we have done a lot of inventions and scientific research, and just been a part of every aspect of our life Black people have been involved in and have excelled in. And so being able to tell those authentic stories in a respectful manner, and not leaving out, the ugly things, but also sharing all the great things, is part of what we do. So we always find it very exciting when we hear about a story we've never told before and to get all the details. And you're right, Lulu Merrill Johnson is somebody that people we should know. For nothing else, everybody in Johnson County should know about her. So, and
Right.
sometimes those stories, if they're not told, and people aren't, continue to pass out along by generation, then it does get lost. And so that's what we're hoping to avoid is that it gets lost and that we're able to show that.
And I love what you said about you know the telling of the stories and learning something new being a positive thing, and
Mhm.
not like a gotcha, like, well, you should know this, like we should have
Right.
known. Because I think sometimes I have tended to feel when people come to you with some new great person you haven't heard about, you're just like,
Mhm.
oh well, I feel like I should have known that, and I'm irked that I don't know. So I
Mhm.
love how you frame that as, this is a great thing that we're uncovering this kind of hidden history that really deserves a telling. And I love
Mhm.
that the museum is able, like you said, to take all this knowledge and this discovery to the people,
Mhm.
as opposed to coming to the building, being your
Mhm.
only way to access it. Now, I know that you also have a robust website. Can you tell
Mhm.
people what they're able to find out if they
Yeah.
visited the website and what the address is?
I think our website is very user friendly. It answers a lot of questions, and I think it kind of like sparks some things too. Maybe things you weren't thinking of to even ask. Where our address is blackiowa.org, and you can learn about the traveling exhibits. You can see images of them because a lot of people don't know what they look like and may not have an idea of what to expect. And so it shows you them, and you can see our presentations and programs and some of the topics that we have to cover. We can do customized things, but the website kind of shows you what we already have available, and then we can do customized things as well. It talks about our big events like Juneteenth and our History Makers Gala, where we recognize statewide leaders for their achievements over their life. Gosh, there's just so many things you can see on there. We have oral histories you can look at. We have an online database with our collection, so you can search using keywords, which is very exciting. And we also have our rental spaces at the museum that people can look at, and if they are having an event they want to be able to host at the museum. So there's lots of things, and I think love Black Iowa. I don't know. I think in the beginning when I first got here, I was like, oh, it should say African American Museum of Iowa. That's a very long title for a website, and Black Iowa kind of sums it up. So I love it and hope that other people do. And there's so many resources that are available on our website, and I really encourage people to go check it out and see what information there is. And of course, as we get closer to opening, we'll have our hours of operation listed there as well, and admissions fees.
Okay, awesome. Tell us a little bit too before we talk about some of the things you have coming up. Like, what's your staff like? Like, how many staff members, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
So there's a couple things with that. So right now we have 5.5 staff. We have, in addition to myself, our deputy director, our curator and collections manager, our educator, and then we just hired a new development director, which we haven't had since I've been here, and I've been here 8 years. So that's going to hopefully transform some things in terms of our ability to fundraise and really grow in the right direction, including staff. We'd love to see 3 to 4 more staff, full-time and part-time positions that really could benefit us in terms of delivery, program delivery, operational capacity, all of those things. Um, what else? In terms of that, in terms of our renovation project, we're envisioning what it will look like when we do have more staff capacity, and so our building is set up for additional staff and interns. So we're excited about that, knowing that once we are able to achieve that additional staff capacity, that we have places for them to be able to actually do their work in our building, and looking forward to being able to grow that way.
Oh, awesome. So, what else do you have coming up? What are you excited
So
about?
as we kick off Women's History Month, we will have had a great partnership with Kirkwood Community College, where we actually have a native Iowan who's from Des Moines, Kevin Taylor, brought his production of Black Women Walking to Kirkwood Valentine Auditorium. So we partner with Kirkwood, and it's so exciting to have this theatrical production where it highlights 9 historical figures, including Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer. And the other significant piece to that is that the cast includes 3 Iowans. So that was really exciting for us to be able to partner with Kirkwood for those 2 performances. And then we have a lot of other things happening in March, including a program on Black maternal health. We have additional programs on our book club that we started last year called Book Club 802, in an effort to talk about banned books. So that's really been exciting and continuing to grow across the state.
What's that reception been to something,
The
talking
book
about
club,
banned
the book
books?
club has been taken off. I mean, honestly, depending on our initial goal was to connect with Black independent book stores. We found one in Waterloo, and so then we said, okay, well, the next best thing is just independent bookstores in general. So that's what we have been doing, and we're actually going to probably expand that to libraries as well. And we've been in multiple cities across the state to have that book club, and we've done, I think, 3 books at this point, and we will continue to do other banned books and continue to explore some of those locations. And that's been really well received. I think that it's going to be successful. I like it because there's this unending number of books that we can include. It doesn't have to just be banned books. It could be just topical, but it's been very successful. And if anybody who is listening and wants us to come into their community and we haven't been there yet, we would be happy to explore new options and new venues.
What's a good way for people to reach you for something like that?
All of our staff, all of the staff information in terms of who to connect with is on our website at blackiowa.org. You can go to the About Us page and you can see all of our staff, and it basically says you can contact me if you want this, and if you can contact
Okay.
me if you need this. So, but blackiowa.org, you can certainly connect with us via the website.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, that sounds like some great things you have going on. What else would you want people listening to this episode to know about the museum, this future season coming up, the
Yeah.
building?
There's so many things going on, and I definitely encourage people to visit us online. And of course, we're on social media, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all the things that I feel like I'm too old to do sometimes. But in addition to that, especially now while we're in this transition of moving back and having having, I wouldn't say there's no lull actually. We've been just as busy closed as we have been open, but we do have a lot of content on our YouTube channel. So I would encourage people to visit us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. There's a lot of content. Some of it we'll use for throwback posts and things like that, but there's a lot of educational things for children and for adults. And so I would encourage people to go look at that and come out to our programs. It's so many things. I don't think it's just our exhibits that bring people in. It's the programming that we're trying to be really intentional about having in different locations across the state, not just Cedar Rapids.
Awesome. Well, I'm really super excited that you're my first guest on Inside Black Iowa. Appreciate the work you do,
Thank you.
and want people listening to go like and subscribe to your pages and support your traveling exhibits and come out when the building is open. Any kind of final words you want to
Yeah.
say to people?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and yes, and even though we have substantially completed the building, we are still fundraising for that project, and people can visit us on our Voices Inspiring Progress page at blackiowa.org. There's a specific page just for that, where people can learn more about the project and what went behind it, and also can make a contribution to that. So we would definitely be more than happy to answer questions about the campaign and about the project. And we look forward to seeing people when we come back to when the building's open. And thank you
Fant-
for allowing us to share.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. To the listeners, you can find Inside Black Iowa where you find all good podcasts. Please come like our Facebook page and look for future episodes as we talk to Black Iowans about the cool things they're doing. So thank you so much, LaNisha, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, hang out for 1 second.